Hey everyone, welcome to Chapter 3. So, Chapter 3 is really where we get started working with the Arduino. So, let's sort of just go back a chapter and just talk about what exactly we did, right? So, we looked at a power source, right? We looked at this 9-volt battery, and then we used this 9-volt battery to power different LEDs, right? So whether they be, different colors and different arrangements of wiring, like series or parallel, etc. So what I want to start with in this video is sort of take the idea of, okay, we have a power source giving power to a component. Let's sort of leverage this idea to see if we can understand some of the basic principles of an Arduino. So, like most videos, we're going to get started with a slideshow, and then afterwards, I'm just going to show you what the Arduino looks like in Tinkercad. Alright, let's get started. So, what exactly is the Arduino, right? So, as a technical term, if that's what you're interested in, it is a programmable microcontroller. It also has digital, analog, and PWM pins used to control many different input and output devices. Now, if what I just said sounds crazy, don't worry, I'm going to boil it down, and the main goal of this chapter is going to be to, take all these complicated things, sort of funnel them down to what we know from, working with a power source and an LED, and then work our way back up. That's going to be the main theme for this chapter, and that's basically where we're going to get started here. So here's a simple analogy that I like to use when I'm teaching people. It's a mini computer with a bunch of different ports to plug things into, kind of like, the USB ports on your laptop or on your desktop. And then we write code onto this mini computer to control the things that we plug in. Okay, so we can plug things in, and we can write code to make the things that we plug in actually do something. Okay, all right, that's, hopefully that sounded a little bit straightforward. Now, the next thing that I wanted to show you are the parts of the Arduino that you're going to want to know. This is kind of like a blueprint, if you will, so I would highly encourage you, maybe save this slide or, have some kind of handy reference to it, because I'm going to start calling out names, and it's important that you know the names of what I'm referring to as basically your number one priority, especially when you're starting this chapter. So the ports here that I've highlighted in orange, it starts from the number 0 here, it goes all the way up to number 13. Those are the digital pins. And if a digital pin has a squiggle, it's a special kind of pin called a PWM pin. In light blue down here on the right, we have analog input pins. In red, we have our voltage output pins. And then in white, we've got one over here and 2 down here, we have our ground pins. So again, this is more of just, you should know what kind of pins they are. So basically, if I say, connected to pin 12, you should know that it's a digital pin, but it's not a PWM pin because it doesn't have a squiggle on it. But if I say, let's use pin 6, you should immediately know, this is a digital pin, but actually, because it has a squiggle, it's a PWM pin. So I'm more so just wanting to make sure that you have the ability to look at a pin and understand, it's this kind of pin. Now, what these pins do will be covered in future sections of this chapter, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so again, keep the schematic handy. Arduino mini computer has a bunch of different ports, which we call pins. We plug things into those pins, and we write code to control them. That's the main idea of an Arduino. Okay, so now let's just look at this in Tinkercad and kind of just see what's going on here. So let's go down here to our dashboard. Let's quickly just make a new circuit. Okay, so again, I like to work with all components. Okay, so if we search for Arduino, you can just type ARD, and it'll pop up right here. Okay, so it looks like this. And again, I kind of just ripped off the picture that Tinkercad gave me and put it in my slides and labeled it. But this is what it looks like. So again, we've got our digital and PWM pins up here. We've got the analog input. We got the 5 volt, 3.3 volt. And the nice part about Tinkercad is you can actually hover over them to see what's happening, which I think is cool. Okay, so now you might be wondering, you said that we have to plug things into the pins, but then you also said that you have to write code And yeah, that's correct. So you'll notice here on Tinkercad that there's this USB port, or this cable rather, like this the front part of a cable that looks like it's about to plug into this port on the Arduino. And this is the port that can do two things. The first thing that it can do is give power to the Arduino, so you can, give it the power that it needs. The second thing that you can do is if you took the other end of this cable and connected it to your computer, so again, we're talking in a physical sense right now, right? Like if you had literally had a physical Arduino in front of you as opposed to this virtual one, right? If you took the other end of this USB cable and plugged it into your computer would pick it up, and then you would write code, and then you would upload that code to the Arduino. And so you connecting your Arduino to your computer basically gives you a way of, your computer will basically pick it up like any other device. Like if you ever use a USB mouse or a USB keyboard, your computer will pick it up in a similar fashion. It's a little bit different, but it's generally the same idea. And then you use specialized Arduino software to write your code, and then you would hit the upload button and the code would upload to the Arduino. Now there's two key differences here, right? First thing, we don't have anything to plug into, right? Because, we're dealing with a virtual thing. The second thing is we don't need that specialized Arduino software, because if we look at these buttons up here, remember I said I'll tell you eventually what all these buttons do. We hit the code button, and we're going to be wording code in text, so I'm just going to make it text for now, but again, more on that later. You can see here that Tinkercad has picked up that we have an Arduino. Now I can write code for it. And so this is going to be the main environment where we write software for our Arduino to make anything that we plug into the Arduino actually do something. Now, if you really want to see what happens when I start simulation, you'll notice that this USB port got plugged in. Let me do that again just so you can watch it carefully. Look at the USB port area. It plugs in. And this basically signifies, okay, the Arduino has power. You can see this green light has turned on. That means it's on before it was off, right? And it also says, okay, I've uploaded my code to the Arduino. Now I can do something. So that is the Arduino in Tinkercad. Now, again, the main things I want you to take away are, can you identify the pins on the Arduino? Do you know the general principle behind an Arduino? It's a mini computer that you plug stuff into. And finally, do you understand the whole, okay, I take this code and then I upload it to this, and then my things will do something. Those are the three main things. And again, feel free to rewatch this video if it doesn't make sense, or always you can ask questions in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching, and we're going to head over to section 3.2. See ya.